Hello viewers, I'm Simon Preston and this is Reggae Boyz Commentary. It's a new feature we have called Caribbean Football Weekly, and I'm pleased to have two presenters alongside me today from the United Kingdom. We have Nathan Carr, head of the Home of Caribbean Football, and we have Santokie Nagu, also a sports journalist who also has some Caribbean roots as well. Gentlemen, how are you all doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Fine,
Very
thank
well,
you.
yeah. Make sure we get in sync early on.
Santokie, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm great. Excited to talk about Caribbean football.
You have no relation to the Jamaican cricketer Krishmar Santokie, do you?
No, not that I know of. Possibly.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, because he played for the Guyana a few years ago. But it's
Yeah.
all my pleasure to have you guys on, and it's a feature that we've been working on for quite some time, and thanks to Nathan as well for the idea, as he was the one that actually came up with it. And this week what we're going to do for the viewers is give a bit of background into ourselves and just delve slightly into some issues into the Caribbean as well, the under 20 level as well, an issue we're going to. So start with Santokie. Tell me a little bit about your background and some roots you have with the Caribbean, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, so my name's Santokie. I'm half Guyanese, and so that's where my specialism lies. I'm a freelance journalist slash blogger. I've written for World Soccer Magazine about Guyana football, and I've also had a weekly column in Guyanese newspaper Kaicha News, which is quite cool having a weekly column all the way from London. And I've handled press releases for the Guyana Football Federation during their doomed World Cup campaign for 2018. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to talk about all things in the Caribbean, but Guyana just stokes my passion that bit more.
All right, brilliant. Sounds good there. Nathan, how about you? We know that you don't have much Caribbean roots, but at the same time, it's an area that you've been passionate about for quite some time. Where did this passion start, you could say?
Yeah, so unlike Santokie, I haven't got any Guyanese roots, I'm afraid.
That you know.
Yeah, I know of. Maybe you guys know something. So I don't know. I get asked it quite a lot. I suppose for me it was more like just starting to write about football here in England, and then getting a little bit bored with with the Premier League and mainstream stuff. So I wanted to explore something which was a little bit more different and not as covered around the globe. So yeah, I remember logging onto CONCACAF website. I don't really know why. And then looking at all the Caribbean Football Union members, and just sort of like, getting sort of transfixed on that. And then I've set up my website, the homeofcaribbeanfootball.com. So you guys have contributed to it in the past. I've had various guest writers. There's a lot of people that help out. So I've enjoyed doing that, and it was, I think, a 4-year anniversary sometime last month. So it's been going for a little while now. And yeah, like Santokie, been lucky enough to write for various publications and go on the odd show here and there. So yeah, really passionate about Caribbean football. Just looking for it to grow as much as possible, and really excited to be talking about it as much as possible over the next few weeks.
So you could say this is something you started from you're in high school or secondary school, you could say.
Yes, when I was basically just a bored 15-year-old in my room. Not much has changed. Yeah, just inquisitive, I guess, and yeah, just trying to learn as much as possible.
All right, very good. Sounds good there. And just a little bit about me as well. I am Jamaican born. However, I do have some roots in Europe as well. My father's side was from England, my mother's side India. So those are my roots there. But from a very young age, I've all been passionate about the Reggae Boyz. They're the first team you could say I really supported. I mean, my club team is Man United because of the English roots I do have. It was in Salford in England where my dad's side was from. But for the Reggae Boyz, although we've had some challenging times, it was a team that truly united the country, because with the political affairs that has been happening over and over again, the crime that has been an issue for quite some time, the Reggae Boyz has always been that team that always unites the nation, no matter which community or village you've been from. So from my perspective, it was a team that I truly grew to love, and watching my first match with them in the late 90s, it was a pleasure, and to actually me being alive watching them during the World Cup, it was a wonderful experience. And let's just hope that Jamaica, alongside other Caribbean countries, can step up to the professional mentality that we see in Europe as well, where players are traveling, support staff, and all that sort of thing. So it's clear to see that there's improvement needed in the region, and let's hope that we can discuss some of the areas that can be improved on throughout the show as we press on forward to it. It's something new, but I'm sure that we're all blending into our roles very well. So A pleasure to have you guys on again. Nathan, were you able to find some comments for some fans as well? Did they send any questions for us to answer before
Yeah,
we get deep into it?
yeah, not a plethora really of questions, but I've got two sent in. The first one was from somebody called Frank Loonstra. So
Okay.
thank you to Frank. And it was, who do you think will become Curaçao's new head coach? So that's following the, is it the resignation? Can we call it a resignation? Or it's not really a sacking of Patrick Kluivert.
I guess
No.
it's more of a reduction of a role, I guess, because he's not completely left the set off from what I know.
No, isn't he in an advisory role?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Essentially.
so so it's basically, yeah. I'm guessing that he wants to know a little bit about the candidates that are in line for that job, and I think I've heard Frank Rijkaard was in the mix, and also Aaron Winter as well. Um,
Hmm.
both former Holland players. So I don't know if you guys have got any input on that.
Before
I've heard,
go ahead, Santokie. Sorry.
yeah, I'd heard the link with Frank Rijkaard. I think that would be an improvement on Patrick Kluivert in terms of coaching skills, because obviously he had that successful period at Barcelona, and for the Caribbean to get a manager or coach of such caliber would be amazing. So already, which is Curaçao is probably one of the strongest teams in the region as well at the moment.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one. I think what a lot of people didn't recall, like during when Kluivert was head coach, there was a wage demand that he wanted, but Curacao weren't able to meet it. So a lot of his time was dedicated from himself. Some things he had to come out of his pocket. There was an occasion where the players were traveling and they didn't get their per diems during the qualifiers. So I think it's going to be an issue, and when they're securing somebody, they have to make sure, of course, our financials have to be met. So I'm just hoping, for Curaçao's standpoint, that they'll be able to have somebody they can have long term, because continuity is key. Just having somebody for 3 months, Caribbean Cup, gets eliminated, and that's it. There's not going to be anything long term to it, would you say, Nathan?
Yeah, I mean, whoever does come in, I suppose they're coming at a good moment. Like Santokie was saying, Curacao are in form, and they're going to be playing at the Caribbean Cup final round qualifiers in October. So they're in that group where any of those three teams that qualify will be making their first Gold Cup appearance. So it's a good squad, and you've got to credit Kluivert, I think, for the recruitment as well, because bringing in players like Leandro Bacuna with Premier League pedigree and Jarcino Antonia in the Dutch top flight. These are good caliber players. So he's been able to sort of, while he was there, mix them all together. And they beat the USVI, and sorry to bring it up, Guyana in the last round of qualifiers. So yeah, whoever does come in, if it was Rijkaard, that would be fantastic. Johan Nieskens, I think that's the right pronunciation. He was also linked. I think they work in tandem when they were Galatasaray and Barcelona. He's been linked as well. So, well, if they do, then if they do come in, it's going to be expensive. I think an expensive job for the FA. Hello.
Oh, we started. I think he might have frozen.
He's not blinking, is he? Unless
He's not moving.
yeah. What's
Yeah,
happened?
still.
Google Hangout has got some weird, spooky thing that it's playing up on. I think he's frozen.
Yeah, he's frozen. Yeah. Either that or he's doing a very good impression of someone who has frozen.
It's just you and I, then, mate. I think taking on the presenter role. Yeah, it's gonna have to be a two-man job. But no, Curacao is interesting. Curacao is interesting because they've sort of gone from not having like an identity from post.
Yeah.
Oh.
Nope. Don't know what happened there.
So what were you going to say on Curacao?
I think it's a tricky one because they'd essentially need to qualify for the Gold Cup in order for someone like Rijkaard to stay long term, because there's not much structure in Caribbean football in terms of tournaments. So I can't imagine Rijkaard going there and then staying as manager if they're not in the Gold Cup, for instance, because you have essentially a year of.
That's what we were saying, wasn't it, off air, about the lack of familiarity between the tournaments. Unless, of course, he worked with one of the youth teams, but that's not quite the same, is it?
Yeah, so I think if it was Rijkaard or even Aaron Winter, they'd probably have a like on a pay-as-you-coach basis initially. Then if they qualified for the World Cup, he would sign a contract initially. But yeah, as you say, it'd be a lot of money. But I'm sure, I think they'd find it a worthwhile investment.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, and also the fans as well. They'd obviously be, very excited about such a big name coming in. Also, I didn't mention this. The language the language as well. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll speak Dutch, so that'll help.
I mean, yeah, that's the advantage. I mean, Cliver was his mother, I think, is from Curacao, so he kind of done it out of a sense of duty, taking over Curacao. I think if he didn't have a link, I don't think he would have taken up such a role. So they have the advantage of having so many players in Holland of the diaspora who want to get back to the country, which is a great thing.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I mean, I know they've brought in a couple. They brought in Lachman, haven't they, from the centre half, and then Antonio and Acuna, but there's quite a few more.
Cuco Martino.
Yeah, he's another one, isn't he? He's captain,
Southampton, yeah.
But they've got quite a few in the Eredivisie, and I know Suriname have got loads as well. Suriname have got like 70 or 80, like top pros that if they could play for them, you're just thinking, they could be such a force in the Caribbean. They really could. I don't know what's going on with Simon. I'm just going to check now. Sorry to anyone that's watching this thinking, what on earth is going on? Hang on a minute. Unless you just got bored, of course, and you just thought it's not for me.
Yeah, just stormed off.
Just when we were starting to get into it as well.
Yeah. There's no way to edit this out, is there?
I don't think so. No. Once you're live, you're live. I'm afraid. I think that I've got like a yellow button at the top right which says live. In bold
I've got that.
but, yeah, I'm guessing.
Maybe he's had a blackout. I don't know.
Possibly, yeah. It was all of a sudden, that was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there a bit of rivalry between you and Simon then ahead of Jamaica, Guyana?
Well, it will be an interesting. It's going to be an interesting tussle, I think. I mean, Jamaica are definitely favourites, but with Guyana, they're one of them teams where you just don't know what's going to happen.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, it's like the most chaotic formation there. They have chaotic administration, chaotic team. Their manager Jamal Shabazz is quite lively as well, so you never know what they're going to pull out of the bag on the day.
Do you reckon that they'll call upon Neil Dans, Matthew, because those guys have Mark Barrington? They've missed the last couple of.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Again, this links with the chaos. So Neil Dans obviously had a holiday booked, family holiday, so he couldn't turn up for the last round. Matthew Biggs is having personal problems, so he hasn't shown up. Matthew Biggs, incidentally, he doesn't officially have a cap for Guyana at the moment because the one game he did play against Grenada was a forfeit. So officially, he's not actually a Guyanese international player. I'm not sure.
Mad, isn't it, when you think about it? It's quite mad when you think about it.
So he's made like two journeys to Guyana and he hasn't got one cap out of it.
Yeah, he's just had a holiday on both occasions.
2 holidays there, and I'm not sure if the English FA have granted him the permission to play because that was the hold up. So
Lasana Lima was saying probably about the English FA. He was saying that they're not always like the most efficient in terms of getting. If you've got a player who's a Caribbean heritage who's played for the England youth team, apparently the FA are quite sort of lackadaisical about getting it sorted.
They're having that problem, Trinidad, with John Bostock at the moment. He flew out, didn't he? And then he couldn't get permission from the English FA. No,
apparently they're not too efficient about it. But it's annoying on Briggs though, because the quality that he brings in defence, and then I suppose you've got Jack Newton as well.
Yeah, Jake Newton was another strange one because he got called up. I'm not sure. I don't think he flew out, but then he got left out of the team, and there were rumours that it was to do with passport issues. So, I mean, that would make sense. That would be the most logical. But it's the thing with Matthew Biggs is like for last year, last year, like. Yeah, it's still possible. The Matthew Biggs last year was made even worse because of the fact that Guyana's defence was what cost us against St. Vincent in the World Cup. We leaked 6 goals over the 2 legs.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I'm sure if Briggs was playing, I don't think that would have happened.
Yeah, I mean the experience he's got at Fulham, I suppose, and then in the lower leagues, but
And so
I think Sam Cox has done really good as well. Really, I've been
Sam
impressed,
Cox has done well, yeah.
especially given the
Very
way
well.
he's
And
been treated.
from what I know, he's been made the permanent captain. So Chris Nurse is no longer the captain.
Oh, okay, that's
And the national
surprising.
team. Yeah,
That is
so
surprising.
that's a good. Yeah, so I mean, it could be a good move because Sam Cox is only 25, so it's a long. He could foreseeably be the captain for the next 6-7 years, which would be good consistency.
He seems committed as well, doesn't he? You know,
Yeah, exactly.
The way he comes across. Not that Nurse
dedicated.
doesn't. I'm not saying Nurse isn't committed. I'm sure he is, but I suppose he's got the Puerto Rico thing now as well.
I think it's telling as well that Cox, at all the clubs he's been at, from Spurs youth team to up to now, he's been the captain, so he's kind of must have the characteristics to be a leader on the pitch. So
that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
Oh, Simon back.
Oh, now there's a sound problem.
Yeah, there's
it's getting worse. Sorry to anyone that's tuning into this, having your tea, just out of boredom. Has he got it on mute, maybe? See, I'm not very experienced with Google Hangout. I don't really.
I've never used it. Yeah.
I only used it the first time the other day with Simon, so I don't really know what. Like, I'm just looking at the options.
Exactly. Oh, is he messaging?
How does messaging work on here? Putting Sky Sports to shame, aren't we here? Can you all hear me? No, we cannot.
Here's one.
It's quite remarkable, really, that we're talking to Simon from England, all the way to Jamaica, really, on a video.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, how does this work? Does he upload it onto YouTube?
I think at the moment, if you go onto YouTube, if you go onto Reggae Boyz Commentary, and you go onto the first video, then I'm pretty sure this is it. So it's live at the moment.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say maybe it might be worth starting over again.
Could do that actually, yeah. Could sort of hope that nobody's watched this and then go to this again. He can hear us, but we can't hear him. Okay. I have to stop insulting him now. Now, what is happening here? Simon, is your microphone on mute at all? No? Okay. We could start over, possibly.
Yeah, that's the best one.
Start over? Okay. Start over.